Have you ever felt like the world is against you? That everything around you seems to affect you, as if your peace depended on circumstances, people, or life events? What if I told you that there is a philosophy that teaches you to be uncheckable in any situation? Epictetus, one of the greatest philosophers of Stoicism, believed that true freedom comes from within. According to him, it is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. In this video, we will explore 10 Stoic principles that can transform your view of the world, making you emotionally strong and resilient to any adversity. If you apply these teachings, absolutely nothing will affect you in the same way. Let's get started. Differentiate what is under your control from what is not. The root of human suffering, according to Epictetus, is the attempt to control what is beyond our reach. He teaches us that there are two categories of things in life, the ones we can control and the ones we cannot. Your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions are your responsibilities. But the weather, the opinions of others, traffic, or even the behavior of those around you are beyond your domain. So why waste energy trying to change the uncontrollable? Epictetus said, if you desire something that does not depend on you, you are destined to suffer. The solution: focus on what is within your reach and accept the rest with serenity. Imagine a warrior in battle. He can prepare, train, and strengthen himself, but he will never have control over the outcome of the combat. If he clings to victory as the only possibility, he will be vulnerable to failure. However, if he focuses on his own performance and accepts any result, he will be invincible. Now, reflect. How many times have you frustrated yourself over something beyond your control? What would change in your life if you simply let go of what you cannot change? If you learn this lesson, half of your problems will simply disappear. Let's move on to the next principle. Accept destiny without resistance. Amor fati. Life doesn't ask what we want, it simply happens. Epictetus teaches us that fighting against events is a waste of energy, while accepting them is where true peace lies. Do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they must, and your life will flow serenely. This is the essence of amor fati, loving your fate, whatever it may be. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity, but rather understanding that every event in life, whether good or bad, has a purpose. Imagine a river. When the current becomes strong, the fool fights against the waters, exhausted and desperate. The wise, on the other hand, learns to swim with the current and uses its force to their advantage. How many times have you resisted reality, wishing things were different? And what if, instead, you embraced each situation as part of a greater journey? Epictetus didn't see tragedies as punishments, but as opportunities for growth. He himself was born a slave, lost everything, but found freedom in accepting what was inevitable. Suffering arises from the desire for life to be different from what it is. When you embrace what happens without resistance, you discover a new way to live with lightness, strength, and purpose. The next principle takes this idea even further. Practice the discipline of desire. Epictetus believed that much of human suffering comes from unchecked desire, wanting what we cannot have and avoiding what is inevitable. For him, the key to freedom is disciplining our desires, not satisfying them without limits. The man who desires things outside of his control is destined for frustration and anxiety. Imagine someone who constantly desires the approval of others. If they receive it, they feel momentarily happy, but soon a new need for validation arises. If they don't receive it, they suffer. This cycle never ends. Desire enslaves them. True freedom arises when we reduce this dependence. Instead of desiring for circumstances to change, we change the way we relate to them. A clear example is how we react to insults. If someone offends you, you may desire for that person to change, treat you better, or recognize your worth. But none of that is within your control. What is your reaction? If you don't give power to the words, they will have no effect. Epictetus challenges us to ask, what do you truly need to be happy? How many of your desires come from a genuine need, and how many are illusions created by society, the ego, or fear? When you discipline your desires, you discover that you need much less than you thought. And this realization brings a peace that no one can take from you. In the next principle, we will see how the opinion of others can be a dangerous trap. Be indifferent to external opinions. Human beings have a natural tendency to seek approval. From an early age, we learn to shape our actions to be accepted, praised, and valued by others. But Epictetus warns us, living for the opinion of others is giving away your freedom. If you desire to be uncheckable, never allow the opinion of others to dictate your peace. Imagine an actor on stage. He performs for an audience but cannot control how he will be received. Some will applaud, others will criticize. If he bases his value on the audience's reaction, his confidence will be unstable. But if his satisfaction comes from his own performance, he will remain steady, regardless of what others say. How many times have you worried about what someone might think of you? And what if, instead, you focused only on acting with integrity, without needing validation? Epictetus reminds us that the opinion of others doesn't change who we are. Someone may call you incompetent, but that doesn't make you incompetent. Someone may praise you, but that doesn't increase your real value. What matters is not what they say, but what is true. The wise man doesn't seek applause or fear criticism. He simply acts according to his principles. In the next principle, we will explore how to strengthen this mindset in the face of life's challenges. Face adversity as a test of character. Epictetus teaches us that challenges are not punishments, but opportunities. Every difficulty we face is a test that allows us to grow, strengthen our minds, and improve our character. Just as fire tests gold, adversity tests the soul of man. Imagine an athlete training for a competition. If he avoids the effort, he will never become strong. But if he embraces the discomfort of training, he will grow. The same goes for life. If we run away from difficulties, we become weak. If we face them with courage, we become resilient. When something difficult happens, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this situation make me stronger? The Stoics saw every challenge as a training ground. If you lose a job, you can despair or use it to reinvent yourself. If you face disappointment, you can sink into sadness or learn to become emotionally more mature. Nothing can affect you deeply if you decide to see everything as part of your learning. Adversity does not destroy those who understand that life is a continuous process of growth. The next principle deepens this idea, showing the importance of action in the face of challenges. Act, do not complain. Epictetus teaches us that complaining about circumstances changes nothing. True power lies in action, not in lamentation. When we spend energy complaining, we feed the feeling of helplessness and become prisoners of the situation. Do not explain your philosophy, live it. Life will always present challenges. Some are small annoyances, others seem like insurmountable mountains. But in the face of any obstacle, there are only two options: act or accept. Imagine a sailor at sea during a storm. He can curse the wind and the sea, or he can adjust his sails and keep sailing. The first gives in to despair, the second finds a way. How many times have you spent time complaining about something instead of looking for a solution? And what if every time a difficulty arose, you asked, what can I do now? Epictetus reminds us that when we take responsibility for our lives, we find strength where there was once weakness. Words lose their power, action transforms. In the next principle, we will see how the Stoic trains his mind to remain unshaken by life's difficulties. Stay in the present. Epictetus points out that anxiety and suffering arise when we project ourselves into the future or cling to the past. What is real, what we can control and experience fully, is the present moment. We are not disturbed by events, but by what we think about them. Think for a moment. How many times have you lost yourself in thoughts about the future? Perhaps you have worried about something that may or may not happen, creating a suffering situation that, in fact, never existed. Or maybe you became absorbed in something that happened in the past, reliving pain or regret. The Stoic suggests that instead of being consumed by what we cannot control, we should bring our attention to the now. What is happening here and now? How can you act effectively in this moment, without worrying about what has passed or what is to come? Imagine you are in a garden. If you keep looking at the sky, worried about the clouds that may appear, you will miss the beauty of the flowers around you. If you worrying about the roots planted in the past, you will not notice the growth of the plants in the present. The focus should be on what you can touch and shape now. When we anchor ourselves in the present, life becomes clearer, lighter. The future will become what it must be, and the past has already fulfilled its role. The only real moment is now. Let's move on to the next principle, where we will see the relationship between material goods and the true value of life. Do not confuse happiness with material goods. Epictetus, like many Stoic philosophers, warns us against the relentless pursuit of wealth and possessions. He teaches us that true happiness does not come from what we own, but from how we relate to what we have. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Think about it. How often have you thought that you would be happy if only you had more money, a bigger house, or a new gadget? And how often have you realized that these things do not bring lasting happiness? Material goods may bring pleasure, but pleasure is fleeting. They can give comfort, but comfort is not peace. True joy comes from within, from our mindset, from our ability to accept ourselves and the world as it is. When you stop seeking external possessions as the source of your happiness, you free yourself from the constant cycle of desire. Imagine if you were content with what you already had. How much mental peace would you experience? Be honest with yourself. Epictetus emphasizes the importance of self-awareness and integrity. When we lie to ourselves or fail to understand our own desires and motivations, we are disconnected from reality and thus subject to suffering. Know yourself. It may seem simple, but self-awareness is often one of the most challenging tasks. We deceive ourselves in many ways, justifying behaviors that we know are not aligned with our values or true desires. When you understand yourself, you no longer need to prove anything. You simply act according to your own inner truth. Seek tranquility through wisdom. Finally, Epictetus teaches that the most peaceful lives are those built on wisdom. The more we understand our nature and the world around us, the less we are disturbed by what happens. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Real wisdom lies in understanding that we do not need external circumstances to define our happiness. Instead, we cultivate an inner peace that is untouchable by the storms of life. When you embrace wisdom, you create a fortress of peace within yourself. The world may shake around you, but you will remain firm, unshaken. In conclusion, the Stoic principles of Epictetus offer a powerful blueprint for navigating life's challenges with resilience and inner peace. By focusing on what is within our control, embracing our fate, disciplining our desires, and acting with integrity, we free ourselves from the constant turmoil of external circumstances. Life will always present obstacles, but by applying these timeless teachings, we can cultivate a mind that is unwavering in the face of adversity. As we strive for wisdom and self-awareness, we begin to realize that true freedom lies not in avoiding hardship, but in how we choose to respond to it. By practicing these principles, we can live with purpose, clarity, and tranquility, regardless of what life throws our way. The Stoic path is not one of passivity, but of active engagement with the world through a lens of inner strength and calm. Embrace these teachings, and remember, peace is not found in controlling the world around us, but in mastering the world within.